Hey there, this is Alex Landenburg from 21 Octane, Mekong Delta, and last but definitely not least, look at the Res Rhapsody. You are listening to Metal and Metal Wani. Rock on!
Mr. Alex Landenburg, how's it going, man? I mean, you've been on roll, Mekong Delta, and now 21 Octane. Amazing stuff from you guys.
Thanks, yes. Oh man, it's good, it's good. I just returned from a couple of shows we did with 21 Octane.
Right.
We're supporting Dan Reed Network in Germany. That was fantastic. And I'm just trying to catch up on emails and interviews and stuff like we do today. I know we wanted to do this for quite a while. Sorry for letting you wait
No problem.
so long.
Wonderful. Now, you guys are on, did some shows in Hamburg and Nuremberg as well. So it's the whole experience of exploring these new songs and fans have been eagerly waiting for.
Oh, I tell you, we've been waiting for this for years, and of course it's a fantastic situation because I mean it's always great to play to fans, and you're playing the songs they want to hear.
Right.
But with a project that's such a personal thing as this one, we've been working so long on this, and it's really like our own thing. We're not sidemen, like
Right.
we're four equal people in this band.
Right.
And this is just fantastic. And then now that for the first time, people are starting to sing along because they have the record and they know the
Right.
song.
Right.
That's incredible. It's an incredible feeling.
Wonderful.
We love it.
Wonderful. And this album has come out through AFM Records, which is one of my favorite record labels. So how was the deal done with the label, or was it more like they heard your songs and they were completely impressed with the band and then they approached the distribution point of it?
How was it done? Well, first of all, both Marco and we both had experiences with AFM, and they were fantastic.
Absolutely.
I played in a couple bands that were signed to AFM, and everything was always smooth and went great. They did great promo. So naturally, this was, one of the main labels for us to look at. It was actually the one we really wanted to sign with.
Right.
And then we had things got more serious, and we had like this real talk with them, the more serious talk, and we realized that they were really into this band.
Awesome.
That they really believed in the whole idea behind it. And from that point on, it was clear there's no other option. We have to sign with that label,
Brilliant. And since the release of the album, I'm sure you guys must have received a lot of mails, like you said, from fans
Yes.
as well as friends. So what are some of the best responses you have received so far?
Oh, the thing is, they've been so massively good, like it's always hard to pick some out.
Right.
The fantastic thing is that I had a couple of my colleagues, or our colleagues, musician friends of ours,
Right.
that also came out and said, "This is a great record." Just Günther Werno from Vandenblas, what a fantastic progressive band.
Brilliant.
He messaged me, said, "What a great record." Olaf from Amaranti. Also guys like that.
Awesome.
Even people like Herman Rarebell from the Scorpions, the original, the famous Scorpions drummer.
Wonderful. That's all.
Yeah, what a great record. So of course that's something incredible. But the thing that I love most about all this feedback, also the reviews, is that people actually, they really appreciate that we have that our style is so diverse.
Right.
Because at first I was a little bit afraid, would people like this? Or would they say, "Oh, I don't like it because I cannot put it, into one style or one niche," right? And to see that people actually like that, it's quite the contrary. They love that,
Absolutely.
That's the most important thing to me.
That's awesome, because while listening to the album, one thing was very clear, that there are a lot of rock albums that have, hard rock, heavy metal albums that have come in from so many years, but that refreshing element is missing somewhere. And somehow it hooked me onto your album, because while listening to it, it was pretty clear to me that, okay, there's something going on in this album, and one really needs to just let himself go into, it's more like a journey of 21, Octane. It's more like that. So in terms of writing, I feel it was a bit more diverse compared to what I've heard so far from past few years.
That's cool. You see, that's what I love about it. The thing is, what happened is, first of all, we wrote it in a very classical sense. We really went to the rehearsal space,
Mm-hmm.
4 guys, and started playing. And you know, especially these days, you have a lot of situations where you just write something and you mail it to somebody else,
Right.
whatever, maybe a couple of 100 or even 1,000 kilometers away,
True.
and then you just mail back and forth, and that's how you create the music.
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with that for certain styles. It really works. But we knew we wanted to do it like the old-fashioned way. And so that happened. We just played. And naturally, because we all like different things musically, it just happened that there were different things coming out of it. And we embraced that. We thought, you know what? This is a long-term thing for us, long-term thing for us.
Right.
And especially to Mark and I, we knew, because we love so many different styles, we have to, you know, include them all, because then it's going to be challenging and interesting on the long run.
True.
It would be terrible for me to play in a band. I mean, I'm not talking bad about anyone, but let me say something like AC/DC, for example. Not that I don't like them, but having to play the same stuff over and over again for your whole career, that wouldn't be for me, you know.
I understand that. And the lyrical theme of this album is phenomenal. I mean, I felt that this lyrical theme is going to play a major role in establishing a strong foundation for the band to build upon in the years to come. So what were the aspects of, you know, in terms of lyrics on this album?
Well, lyrically, the thing is, on this record, our singer Hagen, he wrote the lyrics, all of them. But of course, we talked about them, and he would present us with the
ideas,
you know, with the first ideas and stuff. And at the time, with writing lyrics, it's like this. At least for me, you have to have a flow.
Absolutely.
It's terrible if you sit down. I mean, you're a writer yourself, I guess, so you know that. It's terrible to sit in front of your paper or computer and you're just staring at it and you're trying to force it. It's not going to work. And so sometimes, for years even, there's nothing coming out, and then suddenly you have something to say. That's the thing with me. And at that point, lyrically, I didn't feel like it wasn't flowing. And Hagen, he had that. He had the flow. And he wrote these things, but they're fantastic. He has this very personal way of writing, and I think a lot of people can relate to that.
Awesome.
Easily.
That's
very close to the heart.
That's wonderful. You know? Now, one thing I was very surprised is because looking at your history, you guys have been together for more than 4 years now. And although that sort of a success has been talked about everywhere, but very few people know about the band's early days. So what was happening in the 21 Octane camp right from the beginning when you guys were, you know, building your roots?
Okay, yeah, that's a really good question. Well, basically, anyways, how the band came together, that was even 6 years almost ago. In 2008, I was auditioning for the drummer spot in a German band called Axis. That's how I met Marco for the first time. And I'll never forget this. First rehearsal, or audition basically, I'm setting up my drums and we start jamming, and we started playing Journey. Journey stuff, you know? And so, wow, you like that stuff too? And I was, you know, jumping into it when I recognized the guitar riffs and stuff. And then we talked and we realized we had this great, you know, musical and personal connection. And I told him a couple days afterwards, I said, you know what? Regardless of the outcome of my audition, we will do a band together at some point.
Awesome.
And so really quickly afterwards, we actually started jamming with Andrew, the bass player. Andrew's a longtime friend of mine, fantastic bass player. And we started jamming, and it was just cool. And we said, you know what, we have to do this. And it was Andrew who brought in our singer Hagen. Now the thing with Hagen is, you know that he sang for Joe Perry from Aerosmith, which is a crazy story itself. And we didn't know about this. We were ready to look for a singer anywhere in the world. We were looking at guys from the States, from Scandinavia, because we knew the singer has to be outstanding. Exactly. I mean, no matter what you do as a musician, but people will always listen to the vocals. I do that myself. You know, you have to love the singer. And the crazy thing is, so Andrew says, hey, how about this guy, Hagen, who sings for Joe Perry? And actually, he lives right around the corner. Awesome. I mean, literally, he lives 40 minutes away. You know, it's crazy. And we were like, Joe Perry? Are you serious? you must be confusing something,
Right.
mixing something up. But it turned out it was right. So we got him in, and that was great. So, but what happened then is we quickly proceeded songwriting, and everything went really smooth. And we went to record Into the Open in 2010, 4 years
Awesome.
ago. And or was it 2011 that we recorded it? It was 2011, yes. And but then we hooked up with a producer, but we didn't like the way it turned out, sonically, and the way he produced it and everything. So we made a really tough decision. We said, you know what? We do the whole thing over again.
Wow.
When it was almost finished, which was, I mean, completely crazy at that time. But we knew it had to be perfect for us. You only have one debut album in your life as a band. And we took the liberty to do it a second time around. And I must say, luckily we did it, because probably at some point we will, release the first,
First version
time
of
around,
it.
the first
Right.
demos now. Maybe we'll do that, or just a couple of them, and you will see what I mean. It's much more, this time around it was much more organic, much more the way we wanted
One
it
thing
to
is
be.
very sure.
And of course, as an artist, it was fantastic, because, so many times you finish something, and then afterwards you think, I wish I could have done this, or I could have done that. Well, this time we could do it,
Yes,
so that's great.
wonderful, because it's very evident that the musical taste and the artist you guys like, they are in common, and must have actually helped you guys build a bond stronger as a band.
Exactly, of course. If you make a decision like that and you stick to it, it really creates a strong bond within the
Absolutely.
band.
Now, in terms of a song, now it's going to be very difficult for you. So, which song from the album was technically challenging or more stronger in terms of content for you?
Well, from a drumming point of view, strictly drumming point of view, the hardest song for me to record was probably Your Life.
Okay.
And just for the reason that I'm playing this verse with the quarter notes on the bass drum. I'm doing this little Stuart Copeland police type of thing, and I never did that. It was the first time in my life that I seriously tried to play it. Of course, we did it at rehearsals, but at rehearsals you go like,
I can do it that way.
it's gonna work somehow, and you play around a little bit, but then you're in the studio and it should be proper what you're playing. So that was a little bit challenging in this regard, but other than that, the songs had been out for us for so long. We played them a couple of times, so it wasn't really challenging to record the drums.
That's where the point comes. It's very important to dig the brain of a drummer at these point of times, especially when in the jam rooms you're going to be playing around with something, and then while in the record I'm going to play like this, but that's where the actual challenge comes into the picture.
Of course.
Wonderful.
Of course, and it was a little bit stupid from me, I must say. I mean, I should be experienced enough to know that you really, really have to prepare something like that. That you cannot come up on spot with the fanciest things. But to my defense, I had some clinics and stuff before the actual recording that weren't planned, and so I had to go out on the road, and it's often
wonderful.
Like but I'm happy with the way it turned out, so I'm not gonna complain.
Now, this album, Into the Open, is definitely received that worldwide appreciation, and is going to continue further. Now, you guys must have already started planning about the band's future in terms of any material you're going to work on further and tour wise. So what is the plan for the rest of 2014 and ahead?
Yeah, very good question again. Well, first of all, we have a feeling that we don't want to, of course it's not going to take 4 years again till we put out the next record. And we don't want it to be 2 years as well. We want to put out the next record,
time is right.
Sooner than later. So actually we're also starting songwriting again. We'll have and we'll go back the same way. We'll go back to the rehearsal space, do it the same way like we did it the first time, right? So this is the thing for the next couple months too. We'll play as many shows as we can, and at the same time we start writing the second record. And in terms of touring, we will have a tour with Uriah Heep.
Awesome.
Legendary rock band Uriah Heep. This is gonna be in November, December. So that's for sure. But of course, there's going to be a lot in between, I'm sure. Because we're taking up right now any gig we can play, because this kind of music you need to bring it to
Absolutely,
people.
this has to go live, because the vibe in the it's like exactly like how I felt by listening to the new Killer Be Killed album. Have you heard about this band?
Hmm? No, well, I heard the name, but
you gotta check out the album. This album is so easy to get into, and when you see these guys live in future, it's going to be a different feeling altogether. And that same vibe applies to 21 Octane as well. That has to be unleashed live.
Thanks, that's cool. Yes, that's how we see it too. Well, I hope we get to play in India, or you get.
That
to
was my point, because I was trying to figure out.
See one of the shows, because you have to see the band live.
Trying to figure out.
And that's another thing, because we wrote it as a band. It's also, we didn't write stuff that we can't play. Everything we hear on the record, we can play as a band. You know, of course, there's like tiny little overdubs, like maybe a second guitar here and there. Very few though, very, very few. Mostly what you hear, it's really just the four guys, and that's another reason why it really works live. And that's the danger of this other system of just, you know, composing at your computer, sending stuff back and forth. Then you're in a live situation like, oh wow,
I
need a couple more hands, no, but I need a couple more guys to play this or something, you know. Doesn't work.
Absolutely, and that's wonderful. Now that brings me to the question of seeing you guys live. I don't know, it's too early for your Indian fans to check it out, but at least in future, I'm hopeful to see you guys live on stage.
I would love to. Of course, I mean, India is one of the places that I haven't been to yet, so I'm burning to go there anyways. Especially as a drummer, knowing about the Indian culture and the creative, percussive stuff that is going on there. And that's a lot of things that I'm personally really into, playing in 5 and stuff like that, playing in 7/9, and it's all. I know that you guys have a great history and a great culture with all these things. So, as a drummer alone, I would be excited to go there. I really hope it's going to happen.
Wonderful. Now that brings me to the question: if I would have to ask you to define the new 21 Octane album in a sentence, how would that be?
Oh, that's a really, really good question. I should have prepared that.
That's the point of an interview.
I think it's yeah. This is kind of easy now, but I would say, because I don't want to compare it to other bands, it's modern rock with many different influences and a lot of progressive and also a lot of metal influences.
Brilliant. Now, with Mekong Delta, you have done some phenomenal work, man. The first instrumental track which I was listening to just blew my mind off, and I couldn't just stop listening to the album. So at least with one of the bands, I just hope you guys come over here and soon, because somewhere down the line your fan base in India is definitely going to increase. So just staying positive to see you guys live soon in future.
That would be fantastic. Yes, yeah, of course. That's another great record. I'm really lucky in that regard. And also that record, Mekong Delta, is a different animal. That is really, first of all, Ralph's band, Ralph Hubert, the main guy. But at least I have many liberties there with my drumming. So what he does, he composes the stuff, but the drumming parts, I can do them pretty much the way I want to. Of course, you have to. There's certain typical Mekong Delta things, and we have to have them in there, but I had a lot of liberties, and that was a fantastic record to do. This is also stuff that I'm really looking forward to perform live.
That's wonderful. Thanks, Alex Landenburg. It's been a great time having a chat with you and get some in detail analysis on the album. Thank you so much.